Yeah.
I'd like to call the regularly scheduled Plan Commission meeting for the Village of Tinley Park to order. Please let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we will move on to roll call. Lori, can you please take a roll call?
Commissioner Gaskell.
Present.
Commissioner Gatto. Commissioner Hamilton.
Here.
Commissioner Manny. Commissioner Merrick.
Here.
Commissioner Martinez.
Here.
Commissioner Sepisi.
Here.
Commissioner Stoklos.
Here.
Chairman Gray.
Present. Okay, we do have a quorum. We will move on to communications. Staff, are there any communications at this time?
Nope.
Okay, hearing none, we will move on to the approval of the minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the July 18th, 2024 Plan Commission meeting?
Motion. Second.
Okay, I heard a motion made by Commissioner Sepisi, second by Commissioner Stoklos. All those in favor of approving the July 18th, 2024 meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. So we will move on to item 1 of tonight's agenda. Item 1 is a public hearing to consider recommending that the village board grant Christina Kelly a variation from section 3.j of the Tinley Park zoning ordinance for a fence encroachment at 6401 180th Place in the R4 Single Family Residential Zoning District. Before I open the public hearing, I just wanted to announce that one of the commissioners is recusing himself because he is friends with one of the petitioner's representatives. So Commissioner Sepisi is going to sit down for this item. With that, may I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Make a motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Gaskell, seconded by Commissioner Stoklos. All those in favor of opening the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. The public hearing is open, and I did receive a notice of publication in the newspaper for the public hearing. So anyone wishing to speak on this matter will be sworn in before they speak, but after the staff's presentation. So at this time, staff, please proceed with your presentation.
All right, so I'll just give you a summary of the request and what this item's about. This is a detached single-unit house located at the southwest corner of Ridgeland Avenue and 180th Place. So it's on the west side of Ridgeland Avenue. It's about an 8,000 square foot lot. It's currently zoned R4 Single Family Residential District, which is one of the denser residential districts that we have in town. It's surrounded by all other residential, typically single-unit detached homes. Across the street, there is a religious institution, but all of it's zoned residential. So it's an existing neighborhood. The petitioner is requesting to reduce the minimum setback for a fence in the required secondary front yard from 10 feet to 0 feet. So she is a corner lot, so we do have extra regulations about where fences can go when on a corner lot. I'm actually going to jump to this first. So this kind of shows where your street right-of-ways come, and what we deem the primary front yard is going to be the thinnest part of the parcel. The secondary front yard is then whatever faces a different right-of-way. So that kind of gives you some context there. Timeline of events for this item. The petitioner applied for a fence permit in February of 2024. The application was denied and was requested for resubmittal. So it was denied because the fence went all the way to the property line. So within the code, it says in a secondary front yard, you're allowed to have a fence, but it must be set back 10 feet from that secondary property line, which is shown here, the current regulation at 10 feet. So it was denied. We asked for a resubmittal showing it in the correct place. The petitioner let us know they have an existing fence there. They just want to replace it to where it goes, and that they don't understand why they can't just put it where it goes. This is something that we've kind of been dealing with for a bit now, that usually when you take down a fence, you have to put it up. Just like anything else that's non-conforming, if you take it down, you have to put up something that is conforming. So we did not receive any submittal. We just assumed maybe they didn't want to replace the fence, or, you know, it's within their right. It was just a denied permit. During his duties as a zoning administrator, when he was out conducting different inspections, he was driving by the house and saw that a new fence was erected, the one that they had proposed that was denied. So their wooden fence was replaced now with a new vinyl fence. So the petitioner was cited, stating that, you know, you built a fence without a permit, you built it in a place where it's not supposed to be on top of that. So after that citation, we offered for her to apply for a variation to allow the fence to be right on the property line. And that is what she has chosen to do, and here we are today going through that process. A little background and what I kind of made this graphic for is to show that in 2023, we had a much harsher code where we had no fences allowed in the secondary front yard unless it aligned with the house, if it had an established setback that the house was in that yard. But overall, it was decided, I believe, the Planning Commission went over a bunch of different topics. The decision was made to make it a 10-foot regulation to give some relief off that 25-foot. And we have had other owners come in asking, like, can I just put it back on the property line? No, you got to move it 10 feet back. It's really for sight lines. It's for getting those off the sidewalk and things like that. So, and that was done in 2023. So overall, the top picture is what the fence used to be. And the bottom is the fence that it is now. So the fence itself is a 6-foot tall vinyl fence, which would meet regulations. It's just in the wrong location, and it was built without a permit. So yeah, that is pretty much it from me. So the petitioner is here if you have any questions for them, or if you have any questions for staff, we can answer those.
Sure, if the petitioner and the representative want to approach, I'll swear them in. And if you could state your name, sir?
Absolutely. Good evening, John Clavio.
Okay, John, do you swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, and Miss?
Christina Kelly.
Okay, Christina, do you swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
We also
Please
have a
proceed.
neighbor of Christine's here. I don't know if you want to swear her in.
I'll swear her in when she comes up to.
Not a problem.
To give testimony. Okay, thank you, John. Go ahead, proceed.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for your time, and we will be brief. The second thing I want to do is sincerely apologize on behalf of us. Ms. Kelly unfortunately listened to some people who were ill-advised that she didn't need a permit, and went forward with that when we should have done the due diligence and found out what we needed at that point. The third thing I want to do, and I just want to pass these out if it's allowed, is to simply say that the fence has been there for 46 years. Ms. Kelly bought the house that way, and we realized the encroachments or the lines have actually changed over the years. But the fence was actually built 46 years ago when the house was brand new, and the existing modification was nothing structural. They were able to use the exact same poles. They didn't have to dig new poles. They didn't pour new concrete. They just actually slipped sleeves over the existing poles, and then the materials between them obviously was matching vinyl. That would be the sections that are on there. So that's one of the main reasons why, since there was no structural changes and there's no additional encroachment or violation, it's exactly as to what was there, as why we're respectfully requesting the actual variance at this point.
Okay.
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
You mentioned that she was ill-advised about putting this fence up,
Yes.
and that she didn't need a permit. She did go to the village and ask for a permit, and they refused her on those grounds. It did not conform to the code.
Sir, I believe that the reason the permit was denied is because the fence was already up when she asked for the permit. So that the sequence of events is that she changed the material, then, when it was cited, came back to the actual village and said, I need a fence permit at that point. And at that point, it was, for lack of a better term, the horse was out of the barn already at that point, so it just kind of escalated.
What about the attempt to get a permit before the fence was?
Yeah, John, what the staff put up on the board, and maybe the timeline's incorrect, my understanding from what, you could put the slide back on, if you don't mind going back, was that a fence permit application was submitted February 2024. It was denied, but then it said in March, the fence was erected. So unless that's, that's the timeline, our understanding of the timeline.
So Ms. Kelly indicated to me that the fencing company did actually try to get a permit.
In February,
So I
They
misspoke.
were told they couldn't put the fence there,
correct,
But they did anyway.
but you did anyway.
yes. Because I was ill-advised by the fencing company and a few other friends of mine that have had homes here in Tinley Park, that when they replaced their fences, they didn't need the permits. So it's my fault, and I apologize that I didn't make sure that I had the permit, because I was under the impression, since I was just replacing the material, because of people who had told me that was my fault.
Well, whoever put the fence up should have known better to start with.
What did the building department tell you in February, when you went in originally?
I didn't come in. I didn't come in for anything. I didn't come in until I submitted the variation.
I see. So the fence company came in February
Correct,
and was denied the permit
correct,
because the fence did not conform,
correct,
But they put it up anyways.
but they put it up anyway.
correct.
Interesting.
Could I ask,
Well, I think that, I appreciate the fact that you've got an attorney with you, but I think the attorney needs to talk to the fence company. I think that's who you have to go after.
I think
That
the
may be
fence
our next
company should be here answering these questions.
And if that's your wish, we can certainly tell them they need to appear before you.
They did advise me that I could still go forward with it, so that's where,
The fence company
yes.
did?
Well,
And Commissioner, I very much appreciate your suggestion, because that may be phase two based on the fact that I'm involved. That really doesn't involve the commission, though.
The one thing too is, and I don't know who would have been the direct person talking to whoever the representative was at the time, the contractor, the vendor. But as some of the other commissioners have just said, like, some of these vendors that do the work here would know better, right, from past. So I'm not sure if there's, when we're talking to some of these vendors, if that is the case.
Common practice, and from what I understand of this particular one is, a lot of times, sometimes contractors will say, especially like fence and roofing, they'll be like, we'll apply for the permit to you, we bake it into your cost, right? And then they come and do it.
Right.
They get the owner's permission. Sometimes the owner will do it, or they make the owner do it, so then it's in their name. I know the fence company was on this, they were on the permit. I don't know who came in and when. All I know is the paper trail shows that they were both, the petitioner and the owner and the contractor were on the petition. It was denied, and then we send our denials in an email to both. So we send it to the owner and to whoever's contact information is on that first page. Everybody gets an email saying why, or they get something that says, oh, this would be permitted, you need to change X, Y, and Z. So that's pretty standard procedure for us. When the denial goes out, we just have it stored in our system, and then if something like that were a contractor, and this is kind of between them and a contractor at this
Right,
point,
correct.
puts it up anyway and says, don't worry about it, it's fine. They were kind of flagged in our system to be like, hey, we gotta be careful, or, because we, like, when projects come in, we license our contractors to make sure they're licensed in the village. And I'm pretty sure this company is, so when they do things like that, it puts it at risk if they may lose their license to work in the village.
Okay,
did you receive that email?
that's what I was gonna ask.
I did not. The denial of it, I did not get an email. The only email, any information that I got was when I got the citation for fence. I know there was an issue with my email address when I put the variation in, not being legible, I guess, because of my handwriting, so they accidentally sent it to the wrong email address, but that was for the variation, not for the permit.
But in real time, did the contractor say, Christina, we did get a denial, but don't worry about it, we do this all the time? What was that conversation?
They did say, they said that they got that they were denied the permit, that they thought it was ridiculous. The change of the footage for where the fence was supposed to go. And then they told me that we could go ahead with it, because it literally was 2 days before they were scheduled to do the replacement, that they were, I guess, taking care of the permit. So they wanted to know if we should go ahead and do it. They said we could file for a variance afterwards. So being my first time doing anything like this, I kind of, went, okay, well, I'll file for the variance after we do it then. So that was my mistake and my misunderstanding, not knowing, because this is my first home, so.
Understood.
And I just wanted to make sure that the fence was stable enough, because it was becoming an unstable fence, so.
There's that old adage that, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission.
It's just my fault again, like
But technically, the fence company should have known better in the first place.
and advised me about otherwise, correct.
I'm going to ask our other commissioners to weigh in too that have not weighed in yet. Commissioner Martinez.
I guess I'm just kind of looking for what else is kind of where we can hang our hat on, a hardship. I completely understand that there was miscommunication between you and your contractor, but for us on our end of the table to be able to say that this matches with our findings of fact, that's kind of hard to do so right now.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Martinez. Commissioner,
Terry
Terry Hamilton.
Hamilton. So the fence was erected in March.
February.
Okay, so it was noticed that it was erected in March, but it actually got erected in February,
2 days after they applied for the permit, she said, yeah.
but before it was denied.
No, after it was.
After it was
After it was
denied.
After it was denied, okay, that wasn't clear to me, okay. Yeah,
Or, 2 days after the denial.
I'm not exactly, if it was 2 days, I know it was that week,
Okay.
so, I don't, like I said, I didn't have any emails or anything in regards to the actual process of the permit. It was phone call, so,
yeah.
but I know it was the week of when they were supposed to be installing the fence.
I think I'm gonna have to agree with Commissioner Martinez, and I mean, it's gonna be very difficult to vote to allow the fence as it is, given all these circumstances. And my unsolicited advice would probably be to talk to the fence company about just putting it in the right place. And I don't want to take anybody's legal fees away, but.
Yeah, but first they need a permit.
Yes.
Put it in the right place, the permit would be
After you
approved.
get the permit, talk to them about putting it in the right place.
Not to interrupt, but we don't object to the permit part at all.
Yeah,
Okay, that's it.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Hamilton. Commissioner Merrick.
yeah, I don't have anything new to add.
Okay. And just what I've heard here, I don't have anything new as well. We are hamstrung by the rules on this, so I did read, your submittals and your plea in terms of the older fence and, it falling into the sidewalk and some other things. And I understand, I know this new one looks aesthetic, but it's not about like what we like, it's about what we can allow. And so we're hamstrung by that. Unless there's some unique circumstance that allows that drives that variation, something that other properties do not have, that we can see, you're right, this would not apply because A, B, and C, something, as Commissioner Martinez said, that we could hang our hat on for you. I do appreciate you coming here and discussing with us, because I think it did shed some clarification. I don't think there was ill intent. It might have been ill communication, or as you mentioned earlier. But yeah, I have nothing new.
Commissioner, if I could add one additional thing.
Yes, John. go ahead.
I would ask the commissioners also, in terms of a hardship and in terms of a aesthetic appeal of the neighborhood, is that the fence directly behind them is still, the neighbor's here, so I'm not gonna sell her out, but it's a non-conforming fence because it was done 46 years ago as well. Putting this new fence in the right position now, or the new materials in the right place, is kind of awkward in the fact that they are grossly unaligned throughout the neighborhood at that point. And these would be the only two like that. And I know the intent is over the years, perhaps if that needed to be replaced, it would potentially have to follow the same rules as that one. But I think some of the neighbors may be concerned about that aesthetic as well, as far as now you have created this little cavity that will accumulate trash, debris, all that stuff as well. And I acknowledge the owner is responsible for maintaining their property, regardless of which side the fence is on. It just makes it easier if everything's aligned at that point, and that's more respectable.
Well, John, I understand where you're coming from. Your words are compelling in that. I think people on this side actually sympathize and from a personal standpoint, but this is where we put our personal views aside and we try to follow the regulations to the best of the intent and in terms of the, if there's any unique circumstances, but to your point, yeah, if there's it's gonna be disjointed, but I could see our staff shaking their head when you said, yeah, years down the line when they replace, they should align that up. So that's the intent of that, and as Jason mentioned, even a little bit, about a year ago, it was more stringent. And so instead of 25 and, or aligned with the house, it's only 10 feet from the right-of-way of the road. Whereas this is right abutting the right-of-way or the edge of the sidewalk. So I think your arguments are sound. We've heard different petitioners come from time to time, Christina, with this, and we've tried to keep adapting to make it less of an issue. I do understand your plight, and I do sympathize with your plight. I just know that from a standpoint of where we're coming from, we can't just approve based on aesthetic, because it does look nice, and it obviously functions better than a 50-year-old fence. Any other commissioners have anything to add? And this is, any other final words, Christina? John?
Nope. Just thank you.
Okay. Does your neighbor, would she like to come up and? Yeah, you have the opportunity to speak, so.
No, I'm in the picture that you had up before. My house is right behind hers. And I've lived there for 48 years. And,
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, let me swear you.
oh,
What
I'm
is your
sorry.
name?
Pardon me?
What is your name, miss?
Janet Hoffman.
Janet, could you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please proceed.
Okay. Basically, everybody's been talking about what I was going to talk about. That's my house there. We put up the fence 46 years ago. It's a cedar fence. Cedar fences last forever, But when I heard about this, aesthetically, it will look awful. I'm sorry. She's going to have to put a fence almost on top of her house there. I don't understand all the laws. I walk up and down Ridgeon all the time, and there are other fences, newer fences, that have been put up right alongside the sidewalk. I don't know why those fences have been approved, but they have been, and they were put up maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, and they are on the sidewalk, or a foot away like ours is. So I don't know why those fences were approved versus maybe it's a type of fence, I don't know. And why those fences were approved, but this cannot be approved.
Well, each case that comes before us is different.
Okay.
And some cases may not have come before us, so there might be some that if our regulator did not find. But with that said, again, there may be some unique circumstances with the geometry of the property. Tinley is go ahead.
I can kind of explain real quick.
Sure.
There's probably there's two definite answers. One, if some of those, it says for corner yards, we have that 10-foot setback in the secondary. If you front an interior road and it backs up to a different road, like 180th, you might, like if you have more of like a U shape, maybe there's 3 lots and they can go all the way to their rear yards, because that's actually their rear yard, not their secondary front. I understand it's kind of,
It's a house just like mine
It's
on the
hard
next
to-
block.
But if there's, say, 2 or 3 lots in between, and those are their rear yards, they would be able to go all the way to their lot line. So sometimes that happens. Number 2, sometimes also people build things without a permit, and. we
No, I know
don't
this
if we
person got a
caught them.
permit.
And I will just say, from my standpoint, ever since this change and since I've been here, there's been a lot, more than a handful of people that we've made conform to this, because, throughout town, not just on this street, but throughout town, when it comes in, there's been many people that have been denied, and they had to move their thing 10 feet in, or they just don't replace their fence because of it.
Just out of curiosity, is it the material of the fence that is being denied?
No.
So if you have a wrought iron fence versus a privacy fence like ours, that doesn't make a difference?
They're treated the same within the code,
Okay.
as long as they're in the same, we have height limits and things like that, but, yeah.
And then I don't know if it makes a difference when you show the picture up there. What it's not showing is we have a huge easement that goes from that side. Well, you can see it in the picture. We have a huge easement that goes from the sidewalk to Ridgeland Avenue. So it's not like the sidewalk is right on top of Ridgeland Avenue. So I don't know if that could make a difference in possibly getting this approved, but we do have that huge easement there.
What, do you know offhand, Jason, what the right-of-way easement is? It 66 feet?
I don't, well, typically, it's 66 feet. I
typically
don't know what Ridgeland is at this point, and I know Ridgeland is getting improved right now, so I don't know where it's gonna end up either. So things like that do change. If the right-of-way is large, there's always potential for an expansion or bike
Widening.
trail or other things to come in there, and that's why they're there, so.
Right. But to your point, I do agree with you, that's pretty wide.
I mean,
Right
you
of
know
way.
what, and the sad thing is, it's owned by the state, and we cut all that grass to make it look nice. We really do. We treat it like our own property, and I know there's a stop sign there, okay, but 90% of the people do not stop at that stop sign, and because Ridgeland is so far out, if they do stop there, then they do have to stop again before they can make a turn onto Ridgeland. So it's not like they could go from the stop sign and turn onto Ridgeland because it is very large. So-
Commissioner, Ms. Kelly brought with her the survey from when she purchased. There's not exact measurements on here, but I'm guessing, based on the survey, that the right-of-way there on the other side of the sidewalk, which would be the east side of the sidewalk, is 40-plus feet.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Can I see that, John? If you don't
Sure.
mind? I'm just- Oh, it's,
I don't mind sharing. Yeah, right. I don't mind approaching it.
oh, no, this is not it. This is
That's
right.
wrong. It is on page 2.
Sure. I just- Yeah, I will give it back. I'm just curious.
Steph, I have a
On
quick
page 2
question.
of the- You can see
Would
it's
the
about 40
applicant
feet.
be able to use those posts, but maybe more for a decorative, smaller, shorter fence? Or is that not allowable in this yard?
No, we don't allow that in the front at all, in any of the front yards. And I just want to make clear too, we define anything more than replacing a panel, the reconstruction of a fence. So in terms of like, we do require maintenance of your fence. If you have like if you have like a board missing, we want you to fix it, you might get a code enforcement there. But if you replace more than a panel, we consider, regardless of if the posts are still there or not, it's still, by definition, reconstruction and needs a building permit.
So I guess, so she wouldn't be able to put a decorative type fence there?
I don't think so. Do we have, do you know, anything under 2 feet?
2 feet
Or
maximum.
something? Yeah, maybe something like that, yeah.
And Commissioner Martinez, to your point too, I don't believe your statute or ordinance would prevent any sort of landscaping there either if she were to plant a whole row of bushes.
Okay.
And he brought up bushes. I hate to say this, but I'm up here. The house in the next corner, same thing. They have a fence, one of those see-through wrought irons, but they have 7-foot bushes. So it's like, you know, again, I've lived here for 48 years. I ride around, I see different things. And when I see them, I'm thinking, well, how can they get away with it? We can't. The fence looks beautiful that she put up. It's in line with my fence, and I really think it's just gonna not look right. I mean, it makes me sad, I'll be honest with you, that we can't keep something that we've had here for 46 years.
Well, thank you for your time. The one thing that is kind of shocking, John, if you don't mind grabbing this.
Sure.
Is that it is a pretty wide easement, but to staff's point, if they ever widen the road, now you're up against, they fill in the ditch, put in probably some utilities there, Stewart or something, and then you'd still be there. So I guess, but you are far away from that road. It's not like
We
it's right on
are,
top.
and the house across the street on the other side of Ridgeland, he did do a variance and he did get approved for it. And he's basically same way, so, they approved that, but if they're gonna widen the road, it would be, because his easement is even smaller than my easement. And he got approved for his 6-foot privacy fence.
Yeah, and again, like, those are case by case.
I know, and I understand
And
that.
we're just a recommending board, like a body, so in terms of, if that gentleman would talk and give information to you guys that would empower you, then, albeit, but for now, from what we have and what we've seen, and I think some of us, you definitely have our attention, like in terms of, we do sympathize on that, because, it's a nice property, it's a nice fence, but again, just, we are hamstrung. So if there is some sort of unique thing that you can find and come back, I guess, would be the operative term, then more power to you. But what we have right now, we're gonna do, whenever you guys are done, I'll close the public hearing. If there's nobody else wishing to speak, but we'll take a vote and see how that works, but, so that's, anybody else wishing to speak on this matter? And again, every one of you, I appreciate your time. I appreciate the packets as well. This was a very nice touch. Thank you for the letter too, Christina. But, yeah, anybody else wishing to speak on this? Okay. And any other comments by the commissioners? Seeing none? Well, go ahead.
Yeah, I would just like to say, that is an extraordinarily large easement.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you.
So that's kind of a unique geometry
Yeah.
to this site.
Yep, I 100% agree. With that said, hearing nobody else, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Gaskell, seconded by Commissioner Stocklus. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. The public hearing is closed. Do we need to read the standards? If you can go do that,
Yeah.
Jason?
So for the most part, standards are up on screen. I wrote these in the negative because staff, we draft these for you. Staff was not really finding a unique circumstance here. There's no topography, no adjacent, no big thing that the plight of the owner is due to a unique circumstance, or it's going to change the essential character of the community as a whole. If you guys feel differently, you may enter in new standards. And then also, I just wanted to say too, the motion is up. It's also written in the positive, but if you are against it, someone still needs to make the motion. You just vote nay against it. Sometimes that's confusing. It's written in the affirmative.
Yeah.
Just so if you're for it, you say yes. If you're against it, you say no. And
I
Ms.
got you.
Martinez can
Fair
clarify.
enough. No,
If anyone's confused.
Well, okay, we're good. Well, so at this time, can I entertain a motion on the floor?
I'll make a motion
Okay,
to recommend that the village board grant the petitioner, Christina Kelly, a variation from section 2.J.2 of the zoning ordinance to permit a 6-foot-tall vinyl fence to be located on the secondary front lot line and reduce the minimum distance from 10 feet to 0 feet at 6401 180th Place in the R4 Single Family Residential Zoning District, consistent with the submitted plans, and adopt findings of fact as proposed by the village staff in the July 18th, 2024 staff report.
do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Hamilton, seconded by Commissioner Gaskell. Lori, could I have a roll call?
Commissioner Gaskell,
No.
Commissioner Hamilton,
Yes.
Commissioner Merrick,
No.
Commissioner Martinez,
No.
Commissioner Sepisi.
He's out.
Oh, he's
Sorry,
recused.
Recused. Commissioner Staklos,
No.
Chairman Gray.
No. Okay, the motion is denied. It will go, though, in front of the village board September 3rd. So, Ms. Kelly, I do recommend that you bring John and any support, and in the meantime, get some information. As your neighbor mentioned, there might be a similar case, and if you get any information that could be salient to swing the unique circumstances, it would be in your favor to do that and bring that before September 3rd. So, Ms. Kelly, I wish you the best of luck, and yeah, thank you for your time here tonight. Okay, we will move on to item 2 on tonight's agenda. Item 2 is a public hearing to consider recommending that the village board grant Paul Spass a final plat approval located at 17940 Oak Park Avenue in the Legacy NG Neighborhood General Zoning District. Rezoning proposed Lot 1 and Lot 2 from Legacy NG Neighborhood General to R5 Low Density Residential Zoning District will also be considered at the meeting. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Gaskell, seconded by Commissioner Sepisi. All those in favor of opening the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. The public hearing is open. I have received verification of publication in a newspaper. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter will be sworn in after the staff's presentation and before they speak. With that said, staff, could you please make your presentation?
Thank you, Chair. The subject property is located at 17940 Oak Park Avenue. That is the northwest corner of Oak Park Avenue and 180th Court. It is a large, deep lot that is currently vacant, about 23,000 square feet. Property was annexed in 1971 and is currently part of Brienne's re-subdivision from 1984. The zoning on the property, this is one single lot currently. It is zoned in the Legacy District, Neighborhood General, and the surrounding areas for the zoning is for the most part R5, low-density residential, indicated in orange. Along Oak Park Avenue is majorly the Legacy zoning. So to the north and to the south on the frontage of Oak Park Avenue is more of the Legacy. So the subject property is the Legacy zoning district, again to the north and south along Oak Park Avenue as well. But going into the 180th Court, that changes to R5. The property, as I mentioned, 23,000 square feet, so it extends 230 feet along 180th Court. So 180th Court is a small cul-de-sac, and I have in the staff packet an aerial that shows this with their our approximate dimensions of frontages and rough square footages based on county parcel data. In general, it's about 75 feet is the lot width for most of these homes. So 12 homes when you include the subject property, and 7,500 square feet more or less. So the petitioner comes to the village to propose a redevelopment of the property. So he wishes to do 2 single-family homes and a 4-unit townhome. So the request here for tonight is, as he would like to do this by right, he would like a plat of subdivision to divide the one single lot into 3. And because of the desire of the two single-family homes and the widths for those, widths of proposed 60 feet each, that would require a rezoning. So, as I said, it's currently Legacy NG Neighborhood General, which has a specific character that primarily focuses on multifamily, but it's a mix of different types of residential uses. That district limits single-family homes to only a 40-foot lot width. So as the petitioner's wishing to do 60 feet, and keep in mind, the neighboring homes are for the most part greater than that, about 75 feet. Rezoning request was the recommended path forward from staff. So, as I show up here on screen and in the staff report, this is just a table summary of the lot dimensions, the widths, the depths. Notably, the proposed lots 1 and 2, those are the single-family home proposals. They will face south. The frontages would be to 180th Court. Lot 3, that frontage would be to Oak Park Avenue. So that's why the numbers shift when you go from width to depth. So, as I mentioned, it's proposed to be 3 lots. So you can see up on the screen, that is a snapshot of part of the plat of subdivision, which is included in the staff packet, with the surveyor's date of June 12th, 2023. When staff was preparing the report, there were some village engineering comments that came up, and the petitioner was working with their engineer to provide a revised plat. At that time of publishing the staff report, staff did not yet have the revised plat available. So the comments largely were requiring what we call PUDE, public utility drainage easements. So basically 10 feet along the north, and then along the sides, east-west respectively, 5 feet each. So that, as well as 2 concrete monuments and certain corrections and addition of easement language, ensuring they have the correct FEMA firm map number, et cetera. These corrections have been submitted. Planning staff has taken a look at the plat, and it largely seems to meet these corrections. There may be one signature block that may need to be tweaked, but as far as the content of the plat up on screen, it meets those requested changes. So this slide here, for those in the public, this is the revised plat that, again, was dated August 9th. So you can see the dashed lines that indicate the easements. The concrete monuments are to the far north and northwest and southeast. So as noted in the staff report, some recommended conditions were included. First of which to ask for a cross-access easement on the west side of Lot 3. Secondly, also for Lot 3, a curb cut will only be allowed on 180th Court. The petitioner did elaborate that the 4-unit townhome desired construction would be similar in nature to those on Union Square, up at 179, northwest corner of 179th and Oak Park Avenue. So that type of construction has front door entries oriented to Oak Park Avenue, and then the vehicular access would be to the rear of the units. So in that case, it's along 179th. So staff would request the curb cut only on 180th. Thirdly, sidewalks. So this is to help increase pedestrian connectivity. There's sidewalks adjacent, so this would just help close the gap on both 180th and Oak Park Avenue. So that concludes staff presentation. The petitioner, Paul Spass, was unable to be present, but he has provided written authorization consent to have his partner, John Madden, come to speak on behalf of this petition. So he's here. And one last thing, after the standards, I do want to note, I will have a motion up on screen which will reflect the plat date for August 9th.
Okay, with that said, well, John, do you want to approach? And if you have something to say.
No, I mean, I think she did a great job.
Okay. Well, John, if we do have questions for you, I will call you up and swear you in just to answer them on behalf of Paul. Okay, but just sit tight then. With that being said, we'll start with Commissioner Hamilton. Terry, do you have any comments?
No, I don't.
Commissioner Merrick,
I don't have anything to add or any questions right now.
Commissioner Gasko,
No questions.
Commissioner Stepasy,
Nothing at all, thank you.
Commissioner Stockless,
Nothing.
Commissioner Martinez.
I guess I'm just guessing, that the 11,000 square foot lot, did you guys already kind of determine your buildable area for that? Is that what driven that square footage there? That's the only question I have. Thank
Okay.
you.
And I don't really have too many comments. I do like the fact that instead of going with the narrow 40, 40, 40, because they had 120, they could have had 3 lots. They could have, instead of the 3, they could have had 4, but they could have had 3 of those. So I actually think the bigger lots, if that's 75 feet wide is in the rest of the neighborhood, I think that fits better. So I actually like the fact that they went wider, because sometimes people try to just jam everything in there because that's another lot, more money. But with that said, I think it looks fine. I think I agree with the revised plat being approved by the village engineer. So I got no other comments. Okay. Terry, go ahead.
Yeah, Chairman, I would also say I like the idea of the multifamily unit also being put in there, a little bit more affordable housing for our community, which I think we need.
And I'm all for the connectivity, so adding the sidewalk, that's always a plus. And no curb cut on Oak Park, I think that's a good idea to kind of move that traffic off of Oak Park Avenue. So with that said, if there's anybody else wishing from the public to speak, if not, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
I heard Commissioner Gaskell. Can I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Stockless has the second. All those in favor of closing the public hearing say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion is carried. The public hearing is closed. The standards are up as, oh, well, no, they were.
Or they are now.
Okay.
So this is standards for rezoning, so we use the LaSalle factor standards. So this is not something we see frequently, so I will just try to run through them quickly. So as far as existing uses and zoning of what's nearby, it's residential and mostly in the R5, to which is what we're rezoning lots 1 and 2. And that is that neighboring adjacencies inclusive of the properties on 180th Court, which are currently single-family detached homes. To the extent of property values being diminished by zoning, so we note that the property value will be increased with rezoning due to the nature of the development pattern of single-family detached homes. It increases to provide opportunities for this more comparable to the neighboring homes on the block. Third standard, the extent to which destruction of property values of the complaining party benefits the health, safety, or general welfare. Staff notes there is no destruction of property values for this rezoning since it is vacant. Any addition will increase the value. D, the relative gain to the public as compared to the hardship imposed on the individual property owner. We find by allowing properties to be rezoned to R5, additional single-family homes may be provided, again, comparable with surrounding, thus enhancing and maintaining the neighbor's character. E, the suitability of the property for the zone purpose, development pattern being compatible with R5, more so than the legacy NG. The latter district restricts certain area requirements incompatible with the existing surrounding development pattern. F, length of time being vacant. We note that it's been vacant since previous building's demolition in 2022. G, public need for proposed use. We note providing additional single-family detached homes, increases housing supply, enhancing quality of life. And lastly, thoroughness to which municipality has planned and zoned its land use. We reference our current comprehensive plan, which dates from 2000, which envisions and encourages development, mixed use. The zoning ordinance, though, as amended, does consider a mix of residential uses, with that pattern being of residential.
Okay,
I have a motion up on screen.
thank you. At this time, may I have a motion, number one, regarding the final plat?
I make a motion to recommend that the village board grant a variation to the petitioner Paul Spass final plat approval for the Braylon Point subdivision dated August 9th, 2024, subject to the following conditions. Final plat is subject to final review and approval by the village engineer prior to recording. Cross-access easement will be required on the west side of Lot 3, details to be determined upon the plan proposal. For Lot 3, a curb cut will only be allowed at 180th Court, not on Oak Park Avenue. Sidewalks are required along 180th Court and Oak Park Avenue.
Do we hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Commissioner, a motion made by Commissioner Gaskell, seconded by Commissioner Hamilton. Could I get a roll call?
Commissioner Gaskell.
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Yes.
Commissioner Merrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Martinez.
Yes.
Commissioner Sepisi.
Yes.
Commissioner Stoklos.
Yes,
Chairman Gray.
Yes. Okay, the motion is carried. Now may I have a second motion regarding the rezoning, the map amendment?
I make a motion to recommend that the village board grant the petitioner Paul Spass a map amendment rezoning from the Legacy District NG Neighborhood General Zoning District to the R5 Low Density Residential Zoning District for the properties of Lot 1 and Lot 2 in the Braylon Point subdivision, and adopt the findings of fact as listed in the August 15th, 2024 staff report.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
second.
That's a
I hear
third.
2 seconds.
As a third.
Motion made by Commissioner Martinez, seconded by Commissioner Sepisi. Lori, could I have a roll call?
Commissioner Gaskell.
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Yes.
Commissioner Merrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Martinez.
Yes.
Commissioner Sepisi.
Yes.
Commissioner Stoklos.
Yes,
Chairman Gray.
Yes. Okay, the motion is carried. This item will go to the village board September 3rd, 2024. So John, please get the word back to Paul and let him know to be present for the village board meeting, and he could get with staff for more details. But thank you for your time.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep. Moving on to our final item tonight, item 3, which is a public hearing to consider recommending that the village board grant Hickam Hamimed variations from the Tinley Park zoning ordinance to reduce the minimum required usable floor area in the R1 single-family residential zoning district from 3,500 square feet to 1,931 square feet, and to reduce the required front yard setback in the R1 single-family residential zoning district from 40 feet to 25 feet located at 17811 Ridgeland Avenue in the R1 single-family residential zoning district. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion.
second.
Motion made by Commissioner Gaskell, seconded by Commissioner Stoklos. All those in favor of opening the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. The public hearing is open. I have received certification of the public hearing notice being published in the local newspaper. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter will be sworn in before they speak, but after staff's presentation. So staff, please proceed.
All right, so this is for the property at 17811 Ridgeland Avenue. It's currently a vacant lot on the east side of Ridgeland Avenue, just north of 179th. It's about a 28,000 square foot lot. The history of this lot, it actually just annexed into the village a couple months ago. Very similar in this area throughout that on the east side of town over there by Ridgeland. There's a lot of little kind of Swiss cheese holes that are kind of unincorporated and either have a vacant lot or maybe a house in the county. So this was one of them. It's a vacant lot, and it just happened to be in the county. The petitioner wanted to build a house. He didn't have his plans ready. He annexed in, but now he kind of wants to move forward. Whenever you annex in, you will automatically go to the most stringent zoning, which is R1, which is good because in this area, everything kind of in this region that's kind of unincorporated and then gets incorporated is either R1 or R2. And it's already surrounded by many single-family homes. To the west is some R4 with somewhat smaller lots, but those houses take up a lot more of their lots. So the two variations being requested today by the petitioner is to reduce the required front yard setback from 40 feet to 25 feet. And the second one will be to reduce the usable floor area from 3,500 square feet down to 1931 in the R1 district. So real quick, this is his plan to lay out the house on the property. For the most part, these two, and we'll just skip to the end here. The two real requests come from trying to make this house fit in with the existing neighborhood. The existing neighborhood was there. Having a 3,500 square foot house here would seem very out of place. We did some calculations on average house size in the area. I think I got about the 15 closest houses, and it ended up being about 16.5. So actually under what he's planning to build. The largest one was almost 2,500 square feet, the smallest being 900 square feet. So we do have a range of houses, but none even close to 3,500 square feet. And the fact that all on the east side of Ridgeland are these larger lots, they still have this very similar size home. And in general, a zoning ordinance that regulates the house sizes is kind of an older code that overall we're probably going to update at some point, which is why we didn't recommend him just rezone to R5 or R6 to build a single family home. It's much more reasonable to be in the R1 district and just ask for the variance, and hopefully that'll just go away someday when we update the code. Number two, with the reduction of the front yard setback, it's really just to also fit in with the character of the neighborhood. Many of the houses on both sides of the street vary between 10 and 30-foot setback lines. There may be one that sets back a little bit farther, but there's many that kind of set up much closer than 25. So that's kind of very more reasonable with like the R4 district, I believe, has a 25-foot setback. So he's just trying to match the character of the community as well and also not have a huge, super long driveway that would kind of stick out. So in general, those are the two variations being requested. I put some pictures on the board to kind of show you what it's like over there as well. But overall, the variations come from the petitioner, and he just wants to have a house that looks like it belongs there as opposed to sticking out.
Okay, thanks, Jason. Is the petitioner here? If you would like to come up, I can swear you in if you want to speak. If not, that's fine, sir. Okay. I will go through, ask my commissioners for comments. We'll begin with Commissioner Gaskell.
I don't have any comment.
Okay, Commissioner Sepisi,
Oh, no, nothing at all, thank you.
Commissioner Stocklus,
I'm good.
Commissioner Martinez.
I actually do not have any comments.
Okay. Commissioner Merrick.
Yeah, we just set a record, right? That's good, congratulations. So I have two questions. The first one I think I know the answer to, but the average and the median are probably super close to each other, right? Which I think the median would probably be a better tell for the neighborhood than the average potentially. But the other one is, like, I've been trying to understand this. We've done this at multiple times in multiple different neighborhoods. I'm really trying to get my head around, like, why the minimum square footage for living space size was set up. Historically, I have my own ideas about them. They're slightly nefarious, but I'm wondering, like, why we required people who were gonna have houses to be way bigger than the houses that were here, right? I mean, this strikes me as being like silly, potentially pernicious, but whatever. Do we know?
I mean, I can get
You
on,
weren't here,
I
but
can
yeah.
get on my soapbox, but I'm not going to. I will just say that these codes are going to be under review. We're
Okay.
finishing up this comp plan. It's going to direct us into how the entire community is gonna develop, and probably the next step is gonna be a zoning ordinance update. I know we've come up to this minimum standard before. You find it a lot in HOAs. You don't find it a lot in the zoning ordinances because it can be exclusionary. That's
Right.
a
Okay.
whole
Yeah,
planning thing, and that will be discussed probably in the near future.
beautiful. All right. Well, that resonates with what I thought. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Hamilton.
One question, I'm looking at the lot, and it looks like there's a whole back end of it that's not being used. Is there a plan for that?
I'm assuming it's a backyard, but
It's, the fence doesn't extend around it, it's almost 40% of the square footage. Just curious, I mean, it doesn't affect, you know,
I
the
mean,
validity
if
of the.
you don't mind,
fence.
sir, I can swear you in just to answer that question. Just state your name, sir.
My name is Hisham Hamimet.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing
Yes,
but
I
the
do.
truth? Okay.
Yes.
Please proceed. He just wanted to know, the fence, it seems to be partial there, or it cuts off the other part.
Cuts
I'm-
off half of your lot, yeah.
From the rear,
Yes, yeah, what's the plan for the back?
now the plant, that area is a little bit, low, too much water gathered in that area.
Okay, so you can't build in it.
And actually, that's a silt fence shown. So that's just for construction
Oh,
purposes.
Thank you, yeah.
So
yeah.
it's not a
I should
permanent.
actually read the plan rather
Yeah,
than
yeah. So yeah, so I think you're fine. He would, yeah, yeah.
understand, thank you.
So you wouldn't put that around the lower area. I don't have any questions. I think it looks good. A picture's worth 1,000 words. A picture's worth 1,000 words in that, like when you show this, that abnormally long driveway, because you're gonna have this setback, that does not meet the character of the neighborhood at all. I mean, so I think revisiting that is probably a very good thing to do, because it doesn't, especially if the lowest house there is, I think it was 888 square feet, and the highest was 24,000, not even close to the 3,500. So, okay, those are just my comments. With that said, is there anyone wishing from the public to speak? Please come up to the lectern, I'll swear you in, sir. What's your name, sir?
Wayne Molesky.
Wayne? Okay, Wayne, do you swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please proceed.
So by looking at the plans, could you please tell me the difference in elevation of the lot before and after construction? I'm talking about the ground height.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I have to look with my glasses, but,
I couldn't blow it up enough.
oh, really? Well, I mean, I could see he's got the top foundation, it looks like around the house, 97, well, that's relative, but that's a relative elevation, but he's got 697, and then I can't really tell, as you mentioned, I can't tell if that's 695 to the other side of the silt fence. Can you zoom that in on
Yeah,
that?
I'm looking, I'm trying to get, it was scanned, so it does make it a little bit, yeah.
But I cannot right now, but I mean, I can see,
Is your concern that it would dip towards are you in the nearby property, or?
The whole back of the lot of all the properties in that area flood every time it rains,
Yeah,
especially when Highland floods over. That's where the water goes. And now if you raise this property up, it's more water to go.
so what I will say, because we can't read this, but any development that's in MWRD's region, and MWRD is the sanitary district and they handle stormwater, they're going to require all stormwater that's created is gonna be handled on site. So anything extra that's being developed here, it's gonna have to be kept on site. So it's gonna have to, whatever topography gets
Well,
done.
where's it gonna go? There's already floods. Are you adding more to the flooding?
here's the thing is.
That's my question.
And I'm an engineer, I don't know if this is on a firm panel, like a floodplain, insurance rate map. I don't know, like, so you guys might have some low end here where it does, but like, so I don't know officially that, but typically, if you are gonna build in a floodplain area or even a wetlands area, because I don't know if that's low, but I don't know if it's that low, because there's only one topographic line, not a lot, one. So like, if it's low, it's flat, and I believe you, sir, that it does flood. The
Well,
thing
the
is, though,
houses
you would
behind
have
them
to get,
are well and septic.
I'm sorry?
The houses behind them are well and septic.
Okay, well,
And that makes a big deal in your septic field.
well, I agree. But they would have, he would have to get, the petitioner would have to get some permit if there was an issue with either, you know, wetlands or floodplain to build in that area. And it's not cheap to do so, because he doesn't, no person would have the right to flood their neighbors. So, and to Jason's point, the MWRD is gonna have some rules and regulations to make sure that it is built such that that doesn't happen. But it is a valid concern. I don't have all the information on, you know, the status of that property. I deal with that stuff all the time, but I'm not on Google right now to check it.
But Chairman, that happens through the building permit
Right,
process and
that's
not
not-
through us?
Correct, yeah. That is correct. So I'm, you know, that's a valid concern I'm saying. It's just, as Commissioner Merrick said, it's not really under our purview per se, but like, staff, like in terms of the engineer or approval, it would get vetoed if there was something that would negatively impact the neighbors. But you had a good question in terms of the topography. I don't know how much that's being raised. I don't know.
Yeah, so that gets handled at that would get handled at the building permit level. And they
So
would have
who does that?
all city staff, all village staff, right?
So
So, you know,
it's
village
just-
engineer, we have a building department, the building code official.
So is there a hearing for that?
A hearing? No, just like if you're building anything. you can
I don't
get a
live
building
in,
permit
I don't
fast.
live in Tinley Park.
Okay, yeah.
I live in Cook County.
Mm-hmm.
So the rules are different. I have no idea what you people do. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, so just like if you're building a fence, building, roof, siding, anything, we require a building permit, you submit a building permit, it goes to certain officials depending on what it is, based off of who we have as an authority to review the code and make sure it is safe, it is done correctly. So that's what we're saying, we have a village engineer, when buildings come in, it goes to them, they review it, they do whatever engineers do, they have to do to make sure it's
Well,
not harming anything.
Just
Yep,
another worry, that's all.
yep, I totally understand.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, I appreciate your time. With that said, if there's no other comments from the commissioners or anybody else wishing to speak, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close. Second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Sepisi to close the public hearing, seconded by Commissioner Stockley. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Okay, the public hearing is closed. If you can run through the standards of variation.
And so there'll be 3 here for standards. First one is yielding a reasonable return if it had to meet our code. In general, a 3,500 square foot house, I don't know very many builders that are doing those anywhere in the region. It's gonna be very hard to return a reasonable yield on even a lot this size that's pretty large, to have something that wouldn't be kind of just not reasonable to build. So it would either stay vacant or this variation would have to be given. Apply to the owner is due to a unique circumstance. It's an infill lot in a largely developed area that was developed over the course of the last, 100 years to 50 years, or whenever this area was being developed in unincorporated Cook County, which is no fault to the petitioner himself, that at that time in Cook County, you were building smaller houses, and now that's where they're at. Variation in granular amount, also essential character. Like I said in the presentation, both variation requests was to maintain the character. Following the code would actually alter the character of this area, so.
Okay. With that, do we have a motion on the board regarding the variation? Could somebody make a motion regarding the variation?
I'll make a motion to recommend that the village board grant the petitioner, Hikam Hamimed, variations from section V.B. Schedule 2 and section V.C.2 to reduce the required minimum front yard setback from 40 feet to 25 feet, and reduce the minimum required usable floor area from 3,500 square feet to 1,931 square feet respectively in the R1 Single-Family Residential Zoning District to permit the construction of a new residential home at 17811 Ridgeland Avenue, consistent with the submitted plans, and adopt findings of fact as proposed by the village staff in the August 15, 2024 staff report.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Hamilton, seconded by Commissioner Gaskell. Lori, could I have a roll call?
Commissioner Gaskell,
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton,
Yes.
Commissioner Merrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Martinez,
Yes.
Commissioner Sepsi,
Yes.
Commissioner Staklos,
No.
Chairman Gray.
Yes. Okay, the motion is carried. This item will go to the village board on, is it gonna be September
Oh,
3rd?
Sorry, yes, September 3rd.
So, sir, if you can get with staff and please be present for the September 3rd village board meeting right here. And good luck to you. Okay, we'll move on to good of the order. Staff, do you have anything for the good of the order?
Last time it was Topgolf and Seven Brew, both went to a special meeting on August 7th, and both were approved. So the Odyssey Entertainment District was approved, the Topgolf site plan was approved, and architecture was approved, and the Seven Brew was also approved. So I know Topgolf already has their building permits in, they want to break ground this fall, doing everything we can to help them. So that is awesome. And then Seven Brew is moving along. I don't think they have, actually they do.
They just submitted for
They
building
just submitted
permit.
building permit plans as well. So they're moving forward. And if you've seen the signs around, on August 22nd, we will have a new grocery tenant, an old but a new grocery tenant at the Amazon Fresh up on Grove Avenue.
Yeah, nice. I saw that. Very happy for that. Any other good of the order news?
Comp plan still chugging along too. We're finalizing, we took all the input from the existing conditions. The Lakota group is finalizing that. We're moving on, having conversations about the visioning phase, what that's gonna look like. Lori and JD actually were out at the farmer's market last weekend.
Yeah.
We have these 12 key takeaways that we got from the existing conditions report, and we're doing kind of like a prioritizing game where you get 10 coins and you get to invest in things you find the most important. So we're taking that, and that's what's really gonna drive our visioning on like projects and things that we really need to pay attention to, because we have residents saying those are really important to them. So it's very cool.
We can also mention that there's that survey that kind of goes along with that. That's available online
Yeah,
as well.
so the new QR code now takes you to a virtual kind of, if you missed the open house on the 24th, it is now all a bigger, longer survey. If you missed out, I think we already have 30, 40 people that have taken it. So it's really a lot of input, a lot of work on everybody's part. That's really awesome to see for a project so big, so.
Okay. Excellent. Move on to receiving comments from the public. Seeing none, we will move to adjourn the meeting. May I have a motion to close the public meeting, close the meeting, the Plan Commission meeting?
I'll make that motion.
A second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Stocklus, seconded by Commissioner Martinez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion is carried. The meeting is adjourned at 8:17, I think. Yeah. Good night, everyone.
Another